Teen Titans, Robin's hallucinations. Slade appears to Robin repeatedly, often unseen by others. Fans argue Slade is a hallucination triggered by trauma and obsession. Supporting evidence includes inconsistencies in scenes with Slade, Robin's emotional deterioration, and episodes focusing on Robin's internal conflict. It reframes the show as a psychological exploration of leadership, fear, and obsession. Danny Phantom, Danny actually died. Danny Fenton is struck by a portal accident that turns him into a half-ghost. Fans theorize he didn't survive and exists entirely in a ghost form. Supporting evidence includes his limited interactions with human adults and his struggles to maintain a normal life. The ghostly events often parallel his internal struggle to reconcile mortality and identity. His continued existence might be symbolic of being trapped between life and death. Recess, stuck in eternal recess. 3rd Street Elementary is filled with kids who never age, and the seasons barely change. Fans theorize they're dead, trapped in an eternal playtime. Evidence includes repetitive cycles of recess events, lack of consequences, and symbolic authority figures representing the passage of time or afterlife trials. The constant games, adventures, and leadership roles could be interpreted as allegories for navigating the afterlife. Rugrats. Angelica imagines them all. The theory claims that Angelica is the only real child, and the other Rugrats are figments of her imagination, born from loneliness and neglect. Supporting evidence includes the limited interaction of other adults with the babies, Chucky's nervous father, and the implied miscarriage of Phil and Lil's mother. Angelica controls storylines, speaks for the other babies, and often orchestrates events, reinforcing the idea that she constructs their world. The theory frames the series as her coping mechanism for emotional isolation. Courage, the cowardly dog. Everything is in Courage's mind. Courage sees monsters, demons, and aliens terrorizing his family, but many believe these creatures aren't real. They're distorted interpretations of ordinary events. A strange repairman becomes a skeleton. A neighbor turns into a monster. All exaggerated through Courage's terrified perspective. The isolated farm, combined with Courage's heightened senses, could explain why he perceives everyday events as supernatural. Every episode resets, which supports the idea that his world is subjective, a projection of his constant anxiety protecting Muriel and Eustace. The Fairly Odd Parents, Cosmo and Wanda, are imaginary. Cosmo and Wanda appear to grant Timmy's wishes, but one theory suggests they're a coping mechanism for neglect. Timmy is often ignored by his parents and controlled by Vicky. Cosmo and Wanda exist to help him navigate stress, granting desires he otherwise couldn't achieve. Supporting evidence includes the fact that wishes often reflect Timmy's emotional state, not reality. Episodes frequently isolate Timmy, emphasizing that other characters don't interact with the fairies independently, suggesting they're entirely his imagination. SpongeBob SquarePants, nuclear mutation at Bikini Atoll. Bikini Bottom sits beneath Bikini Atoll, a real-life site of nuclear testing. Fans argue that SpongeBob, Patrick, and the other residents are mutated sea life. Evidence includes unnatural shapes, colors, and abilities. The advanced technologies in the show, like SpongeBob's driving tests or Squidward's complex inventions, hint at accelerated evolution. The theory aligns with the idea that these creatures adapted in a radioactive environment, turning seemingly innocent characters into a post-apocalyptic ecosystem. Codename: Kids Next Door. Decommissioning is puberty. In the show, children are decommissioned at age 13, losing their memory and access to the kids next door. This is theorized as a metaphor for puberty, when childhood imagination and freedom vanish. Supporting details include the rigid structure of adulthood being presented as a threat, and the repeated failures of K&D missions, symbolizing the inevitable loss of childhood innocence. Episodes frequently stress obedience, hierarchy, and transition, echoing real-life growing pains. Hey Arnold! Arnold's grandparents are his parents. Arnold lives with his grandparents, who act much older than expected. One theory suggests they are actually his parents who aged rapidly due to stress or illness. Other clues include vague mentions of Arnold's parents and backstories that don't fully match. The show never clarifies family history, leaving room for speculation. Fans point to Arnold's independent, empathetic personality as a product of this complex family dynamic. Powerpuff Girls, government experiments. Professor Utonium's chemical X creation is theorized to be part of a secret government program to develop superpowered humans. Supporting evidence includes the girls' exceptional abilities, their rapid growth, and repeated threats from military-style villains. Episodes frequently emphasize testing, observation, and danger, suggesting these are controlled experiments rather than innocent accidents. Jimmy Neutron. Retroville is a simulation. Jimmy's inventions repeatedly create disasters that reset with no lasting impact. Fans argue Retroville is a controlled simulation monitoring Jimmy's intelligence, the consistent environment, the lack of long-term consequences, and the exaggerated behaviors of townspeople support the theory. It explains the town's resilience and the unrealistic continuity of episodes. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Spirit world manipulation. Avatars reincarnate to maintain balance, but some fans believe the spirit world manipulates events to control humanity. Evidence includes spirits intervening in human affairs, bending elements, and guiding avatars in highly specific ways. The cycle of avatars ensures compliance with the spirit world's agenda, making each reincarnation less a choice and more a tool. Kim Possible. Draken was her teacher. Fans speculate that Draken was once Kim's high school science teacher. Supporting clues include his personal obsession, technical knowledge, and familiarity with Kim's school life. His vendetta seems unusually specific, suggesting personal motives rather than generic villainy. The transformation into a blue-skinned villain could represent failed experimentation or accident. Static Shock. Big Bang was a government plot. The chemical explosion called Big Bang creates metahumans. Fans argue this wasn't accidental. Evidence includes the pattern of affected individuals, secretive government operations, and Virgil's unique survival. The show's emphasis on surveillance, containment, and unusual powers supports the theory that this was intentional, a controlled experiment. Pokémon. Ash is in a coma. Ash Ketchum remains 10 years old for decades. Fans believe he fell into a coma after the first lightning incident. Supporting details include the dreamlike logic of his adventures, the impossible timelines, and the repetitive nature of his journey. Every new region in Pokémon becomes part of his subconscious exploration, not reality. Digimon. Digital World is a military weapon. The digital world appears innocent, but fans speculate it was engineered by humans as a secret weapon. Evidence includes military-like structure, strategic battles, and control mechanisms over Digimon behavior. The children's accidental entry is explained as a containment failure, not intended exploration. Fosters home for imaginary friends. Ghosts of children. Imaginary friends aren't imaginary at all. Fans argue they are the souls of dead children, kept alive in a haven. Supporting evidence includes the fleeting appearances of friends, their emotional depth, and recurring references to loss or abandonment. The home acts as a refuge for unresolved grief and lost childhood. Samurai Jack. Jack is dead, Aku is purgatory. Jack never reaches home. Fans theorize he died in battle, and Aku represents purgatory or limbo. Supporting evidence includes endless time loops, surreal landscapes, and Jack's recurring confrontations that reset. His journey symbolizes the struggle to accept death and find closure. These theories might sound unbelievable, but when you rewatch your favorite cartoons, the evidence is striking. They transform childhood nostalgia into something eerie, fascinating, and thought-provoking. Maybe cartoons were never as innocent as we thought.